All right, welcome to Cosmic Yoga. This is our daylight savings time stretch class, and this is beginner friendly. As a matter of fact, it's so beginner friendly that you are going to get a chair or a seat somewhere and you are not going to have to move. So your butt is going to stay planted on a seat. I recommend one that feels pretty comfy. There's going to be different variations for different types of chairs. So if you have chairs with arms or without arms, there are pros and cons to both. If you want to do this on a couch, or even if you want to do it in a bed, as long as your feet have access to the floor when you're sitting on the edge of the bed, that works too. And you're going to need a block or something solid that's about this height, about 6 inches, or maybe just a little bit taller, that's going to be comfortable to rest your feet on at some point, especially if you're like me and you're short and the feet have a harder time reaching the floor. But even if you can reach the floor with your feet, it's going to be helpful to have something just to slightly elevate the legs at some point. And then you'll need a pillow, preferably one that's a little bit smaller that can kind of cozy into places. So like a little couch pillow would do well. And once you've got all that, we're going to get started. I want to work our way from the head down, just stretching out everything that might have gotten a little too sleepy in daylight savings time, or that might just need a little stretch after being in front of a computer, in front of technology, or in front of a television in the cooler months. So you're going to come to the edge of your seat. And if your feet don't touch the ground, I'm lucky that even though I'm short, this chair is also short. But if your feet don't touch the ground, you can slide that solid object underneath it so that you have ideally knees out in front of your hips and feet on something solid. Bring yourself towards the front of the chair just so you have some room to kind of move. And we're going to get started with the head and neck. So first things first, we're going to just take a little moment to warm up the eyes. We've done a lot of technology gazing, and you might want to take a moment to warm up your hands, or you are going to take a moment to warm up your hands. So just run them together, and then just take a moment to close your eyes and put the heels of your hands just on your cheekbones so that that little cup of your hands hovers over your eyes, and you can curl your fingers up the top of your head. And then just give a moment, and while your eyes are feeling a little relaxed, just take a moment to find a nice tall spine. So think about your tailbone rooting down into your seat. And as you travel up your spine, try to send your heart over top your tailbone. Sometimes it likes to hunch forward or do something funky. And draw your shoulder blades down your back. That'll help. And send your head over your heart as well. So you have this long line from your tailbone to your crown. And gently release your hands down from your eyes. We're just going to start with some eye exercises, a little eye yoga. So with your head facing forward, send your gaze straight up towards the ceiling, towards your eyebrows. And try not to crunch up your forehead when you do this, just the eyes. And then we're going to start to do gentle, slow eye circles. So you're going to just start to send them towards the right, gaze over towards the right, and then down towards the bottom of your view, head stationary over to the left, and back up. And then we'll take it the other way, over towards the left, down towards the cheeks, over towards the right, and up towards your brow. We'll do one more round like that, over towards the right first, down towards your cheekbone, over towards the left, and up towards your brow, and back the other way, over towards the left, down towards your cheekbone, over towards the right, and up to the brows, and just let that go. Shake anything off that you need to. And then we'll start to move into the actual stretches part of the class. So a lot of times when we're spending a lot of time either hunching over in a chair or lying in bed in funky positions, the neck takes a lot of that stress. So we're going to give that a little love here. And this is where the different chairs are going to come in a little bit differently. You're going to send your, let me see if I can say my mirror image. So send your right hand down, maybe it's to the edge of your chair, maybe it's a couch cushion, maybe it's an arm of a chair next to you, but you want to reach it over to the side of you so that you really feel like you're reaching away from your shoulder. And then once you've got that reach and you can kind of cling on to something, take your opposite arm. So for you guys, it'd be the left arm up and over the top of your head and towards the top edge of your right ear. Now we're not going to really pull on the head here, but we're going to start to drop the left ear down towards the left shoulder and just let your hand grow heavy into the side of your head. And then a lot of times we like to tilt the chin up, try to tuck the chin back towards your throat a little bit. It helps to imagine pressing the back of your head slightly towards the wall behind you. And as you do this, notice if your shoulders start to creep up, relax them down. The more you can reach that right shoulder away, the more you'll feel the stretch even more. Soften your face and jaw. And imagine breathing some space from the right side of your neck up to the top of your head with your inhale. And let that hand grow just a little heavier. Drop your left ear a little deeper as you exhale. Notice if your chin, your jaw started to tense up, let that go. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then gently bring your head back to neutral. And you're going to turn the nose over towards the left, so about 45 degrees. So as you turn that nose over to that 45-degree marker, you're going to take your hand over to the top, back the top of your head, and then to the outer right side of that occipital lobe. So we have this little curve at the back of the skull. You're going to just curl your fingertips around the right side of that curved part. And then once you've got that curl, you're going to tuck your chin down towards your left collarbone. You can still keep reaching that opposite arm away, or if you want a little more, you can take a half bind and just take that right hand just somewhere behind your back. So like you're trying to reach over to the opposite arm of your chair. If you have arms in your chair, or just kind of hide it behind your back. And then as you tuck your chin down towards your collarbone, take that curl of your fingers and imagine trying to pull up and out. So rather than pressing the head down, lengthen that muscle behind your neck. And then from here, we're going to just slowly play around with where you need the stretch, because for everyone, it's going to be a little different. So imagine gently drawing your chin over a little bit more towards your shoulder. See what that feels like. And then very slowly start to roll it over out towards the center. And at some point in there, you're going to find the angle that works best for you. And when you start to feel that angle that you really feel like you want to lift up and out and find the stretch, pause there. Notice if you lost control in your spine. Try to stack your heart over your hips once more. Soften your jaw and just let that pull up and out of your fingertips. Lengthen the back of your neck. Maybe let your right ear draw a little more towards your right shoulder. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then gently bring your head back through neutral. We're going to take that same thing over to the other side. So send your left hand out to the side of your chair. I'm going to scoot myself over to the side so I have a little more reach. And then grab onto something if you can, or just really reach, draw the shoulder down. Take your right hand up and over to the top edge of your left ear. And again, without pulling on it, just let the hand grow heavy as your right ear draws over towards your right shoulder. Plug both shoulders down your back and particularly keep reaching through that left arm. Tuck your chin slightly back so the back of your head goes towards the back wall. And let your right ear draw a little heavier. Soften your jaw, soften your shoulder. Breathe some space up the left side of your neck with your inhale. Let your right ear go a little heavier with your exhale. And then inhale, bring your head back through center. Turn your nose to face that 45 degrees over to the right this time. Take your fingertips and curl it behind that occipital lobe. Again, we're going to go to the left side this time. Might be really close to my microphone. I'm going to try and not blow that out. As you curl those fingers underneath your head, tuck your chin down towards your collarbone, and then start to pull up and out, find the length. And then play around with a little rock of your chin. Find the angle that feels like the best stretch for you. Draw your shoulders down your back. Soften your face. If you want, tilt your right ear over towards your right shoulder a little more. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then gently bring your head back to neutral. I'm going to scoot myself back to the center of the chair. And then you're going to take your fingers and you're going to interlace them behind your head. One last bit for the neck. Tuck your chin down towards your chest. And as you do, hug your forearms towards your temples. Again, trying not to get too close to the microphone here. But as you hug in, let your hands go absolutely heavy into the back of your head. Like your elbows just got really heavy and they're weighing it down. And then as the hands grow heavy in the back of your head, Press the back of your head actively up into your palms, a little stretch for the top of your spine, the base of your skull. If that's enough, stay there. If you want a little more, slowly start to rock your chin to one side and then slowly over to the other side. And gently bring your chin back to neutral, to center. Lift your head up, open your elbows up, and just let your head fall back in your hands. Imagine that you've got strings connected from your elbows to the top sides of your ceiling. So it's a little hammock holding your head in place. And as you feel those elbows lift up, let your head grow even heavier into your palms. Relax the back of your neck. And then inhale, slowly rise up. Shake off the arms, and we're going to move into the shoulders. So for a little shoulder stretch here, you're going to give yourself a big hug. So with your right arm on the bottom, hug towards your shoulder blades. Maybe your fingertips come around the edges of your shoulder blades, maybe they don't, but you're just going to give yourself this big bear hug, like you're trying to give yourself little triangle elbows out in front of you. And once you find those elbows out in front of you, imagine those elbows pulling away from you. So you start to feel a little stretch behind your heart. Then keep the elbows up in line with your shoulders, but we're going to take it into a little mini back bend. So lift your elbows up, still in line with your shoulders. So it's almost like you're doing a little heart opener, but the elbows are coming up with you. Draw the shoulder blades down your back, lift your elbows forward. And then as you exhale, round and point your elbows down a little bit and start to tuck your chin towards your chest, still reaching the elbows away. And then gently release that as you come back to neutral, and we're going to take it the other side. So whatever arm was on top, take the opposite arm on top this round. As you find that gentle hug, elbows up in line with your shoulders, reach your elbows away. And with your inhale, lift your elbows up, lift your heart up, reach the elbows away. Exhale, round through your spine, point your elbows down, press them away, round through your upper back. And then gently release that, shake it off. And from here, we'll move into the spine, which gets so much needed stretch after lying down for quite a while. So to start things off, if you have scooted back, go ahead and come back up towards the top edge of your seat. And you're going to maybe, depending on what kind of surface you have next to you, either place your elbow on the chair arm, or if you're flexible enough to place it to the surface next to you, if you're on like a couch or a bed, do that. Or find a little pillow next to you, nestle it in so you can rest your elbow there. So for you, if it's the mirror image, right elbow down to something that feels nice next to your hip. And then you're going to reach your left arm up and over, a little side body stretch. Now here, we want to really think of finding length from the hip to the fingertips. So notice if you try to lean off of that hip, root your hip back down, and then imagine that energy traveling up your rib cage. Straighten out your arm overhead, flip your palm to face towards the wall beside you. So for most of you, it'll be towards your right side wall. And then start to reach the arm over. Ooh, draw your shoulder down if it crept up into your ear. As you inhale, find a little more length. As you exhale, maybe you lean into that elbow a little bit more, maybe you reach a little further. Ooh, keep gluing your left glute down. Deep breath in. Relax your shoulder, deep breath out. And then inhale, come back up. Whatever you took to support you on one side, take it to the other side. Maybe it's a pillow, maybe it's the arm of the chair. As you find that support, reach your right arm up, anchor down through your right hip. And then as you flip your palm to face the wall opposite, start to lean over. Draw your shoulder down your back. Really find extension through that arm. Really find a little arc through your ribs. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Anchor your right glute down. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then inhale, come back up. And from here, we're going to take it into a little gentle twist. So as you inhale, lift up, reach for the sky. As you exhale, send your right hand outside your left thigh. And depending on what you've got going on behind you, if you've got a little chair behind you, you can always grab the back of the chair or just place your hand behind you on the seat cushion. And we only want to think of lengthening more than twisting first. So like there's a string connected to your head, press down into your hands and grow taller. Keep your heart over your hips, your head over your heart. And then once that's in place, the arms are still growing you taller, but use your oblique strength to start to twist around your rib cage. Notice if your left hip started to creep back into the twist with you. Pull your left hip forward and line with your right. With your inhale, press into the surface below you, grow a little taller. With your exhale, twist a little deeper, maybe start to gaze over your left shoulder. And then inhale, bring it back through center. Reach up for the sky, grow tall, find that alignment of your spine. Exhale, twist. Left hand outside your right thigh, right palm behind you. Again, use the hands to grow yourself taller, press down, lift up, and then keep your hips level. Keep that right hip forward in line with your left and twist around your rib cage. Go a little deeper. Draw your shoulders down. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then inhale, come back around to the front. Shake it off if you need to. And now we're going to do my favorite part, which is hips. So if you're watching this on a replay, part of the reason I'm doing this class is to help try and find some stretches that are good for my mom's hip. So we're going to try and take several variations for these hip stretches. The first thing that I want you to do is have your little solid surface handy and place it out in front of you just so it's about a distance that you could like rest your heels on it and have your legs extended long. So we're not going to necessarily need it right now, or maybe not at all, but you'll want it in that position in case you do need it. Once you've got that in place in front of you, we're going to start by taking a figure 4. So hook your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Now it's okay if this knee is all the way up here. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your pillow or even a stack of pillows, and you're going to place it underneath that hip. Once you feel like you've got some support, and again, put as much support underneath there as you need to. Don't feel like you need to even feel like you're doing anything but relaxing into support here. Once you've got that in place, the first thing that you can do to modify more or to make it a little bit easier is extend that bottom leg. It's going to give you a little less of a lift through that knee so that you're not having to come quite so much into the hip opener. Once you've got this support, you have an option 1 to just stay here. Maybe give that top foot a little massage, a little love. You can do a little thumb walk up the arch of your foot. It's really great for the digestive system. Pause on any areas that feel tender. Or if you want a little more, you can go deeper with a forward fold. So again, we either have the leg extended with your heel on top of the solid surface in front of you, or you have the foot planted down. Whichever one of these you have, again, seated upright is awesome. If you want more, one of 2 things. The first one would be to find a forward fold with a flat back. So for this one, you're going to keep your heart open. Whoops, sorry, microphone. And then you're going to just imagine that your pelvic bowl is spilling forward. So that tailbone reaches back and your hips reach forward, and you go only as far as feels good. You do not have to go super far to feel the stretch. I feel it already, and I normally don't even have a pillow support. So that's a lot. As you find your way into your forward fold, you can just pause and breathe there. Again, if you feel like coming out of it, come back up, give yourself a little foot massage. Wherever you are, just imagine trying to let go of some of that thing that you're holding on into that right hip. We like to hold all of our control here, and we don't really like to open it up. So soften your jaw and let your belly move with your breath, because that's going to help you to ease into it. And again, you have as much support as you need. If you ever feel like you can drop down a little bit, you can release some of the support underneath your knee. Deep breath in. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, deep breath out. Maybe you fold a little bit. You do not have to. Deep breath in. And deep breath out. One more. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then inhale, rise up. We're going to take the same thing to the other side. So remember what you did on this side, because even though it might feel different from side to side, you'll probably want to try for the same variation on the other side, especially if you had a lot of support going on. So take your left ankle, cross it over your right thigh. Again, if that knee's super far up, take a pillow, support it. Take 2 pillows, take 3 pillows, take whatever you need to feel like you can relax. Once you've got enough support to relax that hip, again, you always have the option to also extend the bottom leg and rest your heel on that something solid. If you want, you can stay here. You can give that top foot a little massage. You can focus that energy on the arch of the foot, get out any kinks in your digestive system. If you want something more, you can find a little more forward fold. I'm going to dish my pillow because my hips are pretty open here. But again, pillows are your friends. Keep them if you want them. Still your pelvic bowl forward. Imagine reaching the tip of your tailbone back and reaching your hip points toward your thighs. You don't have to go super far into this to start to feel it. Nice and open through the chest. With your inhales, find more length. If you are folding with your exhale, fold a little deeper. Notice if you tense up your jaw. Let that go. Notice if you've tensed up your belly, start to soften it. Let it move with your breath. The reason we do the soft belly breath is because when we contain that abdomen with tight muscles, because we're trying to protect our internal organs, we're in fight or flight mode and we feel like we need to protect ourselves. So if you consciously soften your belly with your breath, you're signaling to your body automatically that there's nothing dangerous here, that you can let go of some of the tension. And especially when we're stretching out the hips and areas that tend to hold on to a lot of tension, that belly breath helps to kind of trick the body into relax. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then inhale, rise back up. Release that foot down. And then we are going to all take the little block out in front of us. Put your feet on the block. Scoot your tailbone back a little bit just so that you can start to feel that spill of your pelvic bowl forward. And then with the legs as straight as feels good, start to fold forward. Maybe you have a soft bend, maybe you straighten them all the way and flex your feet. Depends on how much intensity you want. You're just going to just flop yourself forward. Whew. And right away, you're going to feel something. Again, if you want more, flex the feet a little bit more, straighten the legs a little bit more, only go as far as feels good. Think of really lengthening through your spine as you inhale and hinge from your hips as you exhale. And then inhale, rise up. Now that you've done a little bit of a hip stretch, a little bit of a hamstring stretch, we're going to go into something that feels a little more traditionally yoga, but with the support of the chair still. So if you are a yogi and you know what crescent pose is, we're going to do a yoga or chair version of crescent pose. If you don't, no worries, because it's actually probably going to help you to not know exactly where we're going. But for this pose, you want to scoot yourself to the very edge of your chair. And once you've got yourself to the very edge of your chair, if you do have the point that you cannot place the feet firmly on the earth, you're going to want to start by bringing your foot support over to your right side. Because what we're going to do is we're going to start, I'm not going to need the foot support because again, my feet can touch the ground, but you're going to bring actually no, I lied. Before we do this, let's do a little horse pose. So you're going to send your feet out wide as feels good. Now that you're sitting on the edge, think of stacking your knees and ankles. So walk your heels underneath your knees. And again, it doesn't have to be super open. If you can get open, go ahead and open it up. Even if you're just here, point the toes out, heels underneath your knees, find the hip opening that feels good. Wherever you end up here, we're then going to find a little lift. So bring your palms to your thighs, lift up through your chest. I'm going to do a gentle little twist here. So you're going to press into your right hand and drop your right shoulder towards the center line. You want a little more? Send your gaze the other way. If you want a little more, press that right hand into your inner thigh to press the hip away. Only if it feels good. Don't do it if it doesn't feel good. And then inhale, come back through center. We'll take that same thing to the other side. So drop your left shoulder through center. I felt a little pop. Then maybe send your gaze over. If you want, thrust your hand into your inner thigh so that the hip opens up a little bit more. And then inhale, come back through center. All right, now that we've gotten the feel of these hips being a little more open out to the side, you're going to keep your right foot in this position so that it's open as far as felt good to you with your ankle underneath your knee. And then we're going to think of coming to the edge of that right glute. So just kind of scoot yourself to the side. And we're going to drop this other knee down. Like it's going to kneel to the earth, but it's not going to. It's going to do a little hover. You can tuck your toes under back behind you and try to keep the knee stacked over your ankle. Once you're here, this could be your crescent. That's fine. If you want a little more, with that hip still making contact to the outer edge of your chair, start to extend your back leg long and maybe straighten it out. Whew, it's a lot. It stretches the hip flexor. So if that's too intense, Soften the bend of the knee. Even if you scoot the foot back a little bit, you don't necessarily have to straighten it out all the way. But if you do have it straight, think of pulling your right hip back and pressing your left hip forward so that all of the hip area is facing towards your right. Again, your glute is still on the chair, so you're supported. You can bring your hands to your front thighs if you want. Activate that back glute if you've got the leg straight. If you want a little more, peel your heart up. If you want a little more, extend your arms high. And if you really want something more, a little heart opener, goal post your arms into little cactus arms. Loop your shoulders up and down your back and imagine someone pulling your forearms towards the wall that's behind you. Relax your shoulders down. Again, that back knee can be bent or straight, but if you're straightening it, commit to it, straighten it out. Ooh, soften your jaw. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then gently, if you want it, bring your hands to your chair or your thigh to support. Bring yourself back to center. Whew. All right, we did it to one side. We're going to do it to the other side. So get that left knee so that it's over top your ankle underneath the knee, and then scoot all the way to the edge of your chair. Start thinking of rotating over onto your left glute as you drop that right knee down. Again, that might be enough. Knee slightly hovering, back toes tucked. If you want a little more, scoot that back foot back. If you want a little more, oh, that feels like a lot for me. Start to extend your back leg. That hip flexor doesn't get a lot of stretch a lot of times. So if it doesn't feel good, don't do it, or soften the bend of the knee. But if you want it straight, straighten it out, commit to it. Keep your front knee underneath, or front ankle underneath your knee. And again, maybe you press your hand to your thigh and peel your heart up. Whew. Maybe you reach for the sky. Maybe you go push your arms and imagine those shoulders looping up and back, like someone just pulled your forearms towards the wall behind you so that your heart opened up even more. Relax your shoulders down. Deep breath in. Soften your shoulders and jaw. Deep breath out. And then come back to your support. Maybe it's thigh, maybe it's chair. Scoot yourself back through center. Congratulations. That was a lot. That was probably the most active we're going to get. And then from here, we're going to take it into, what are we going to do here? We're going to take it into the legs a little closer together once more. And we're going to start to just warm up the calves and ankles. So getting out some kinks from there. So place your hands down to your thighs. And then not a lot of pressure, but maybe a little heaviness in the hands. Just press into lift your heels, come up onto your toes. It's a little stretch for the feet more than anything here. So we're not really talking about trying to really press down and activate everything. Just lift your heels up and then just observe without a lot of judgment. Notice what your feet like to do, because we all have different things. So if we drop the feet back down to the earth, take a moment to just notice what direction they're pointing in. Sometimes they're out, sometimes they're in, sometimes they're a little bit of both. If you comfortably can, with your knees about hips width distance, walk your heels and feet so that the outer edges of they're parallel to one another. So as much as that feels good, heels behind the ball mounts of your feet. And then from there, as you press your hands into your thighs and start to peel your heels up off the mat, just observe as you slowly peel if you've got a little different weight distribution. So for me, I like to dump my weight more to the left side of my left foot, but try to even everything out so that as you're putting pressure into the ball mounts of your feet, it feels evenly distributed, evenly activated. Go as high up with your heels as feels good. You'll start to feel the arches activate and have a little stretch. And then gently drop them back down. The ankles might start to creak and pop. That's okay. We'll just do 2 more like that. So slowly trying to press equally through the ball mounts of your feet as you lift your heels, lift up. Maybe spread your toes and start to get a little circulation going there. And then slowly drop your heels back down. And then slowly bring your heels back up. And gently drop them back down. Beautiful. Okay, so now we've come to the point where we're going to wind down. We've gone head to toe. But we're really going to restore the legs here with a little legs up the wall. But we have a couple variations here. Normally, legs up the wall would just be booty up against a wall, feet up the wall. body laying on the floor. And if you want to do that, if you want to go to the floor, that's fine. But because we are doing chair yoga today, we're going to utilize the chair. So we're going to do a variation on that legs up the wall. So option one for most of us is going to be to come to the floor right in front of your chair and prop your calves up on the seat. Scoot your booty up to the chair so that the legs are up against the front of the chair and lie back. It's so restorative for the body. If you are an overachiever and you know that your body is capable of doing crazy gymnastic type shapes, Mom, please maybe do the first version. You can also do a legs up the chair in the chair. So this is something that also depends on the size of the chair and the size of your body. I'm a tiny person. Even though this is a tiny chair, I do this all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do, but don't break your chair. Don't break your body. And also, disclaimer here, we're going to put it right here. I'm not responsible for anything that you do that injures your chair, your property, or your body. You took that risk taking this video. So if you want to try this on, my favorite way to do legs up the chair is to grab onto the back of the chair, walk the legs around, send the feet up, and then not only are you going to lie back, but you're also going to get a heart opener because you're going to open across the front of the chair. You can send the arms up, you can goalpost them, you can send them to your heart if that feels safer. You can keep the legs extended tall, or sometimes what I like to do is little Baddha Konasana. You can also do this one on the floor if you're on the floor. Actually, no, if you're on the floor, I really like the legs just resting on the seat of the chair. It feels super supportive and restorative. If you are in the chair and your legs have room to move around, other leg variations, you can take half lotus. If full lotus is in your practice, do not take these things if you don't know what they are. But just give yourself the time to settle into the shape that you've chosen. And if you are in this little inversion shape that I'm currently in, and all the blood starts rushing to your head, and you're like, that's enough, pick yourself up, switch to the floor, which is what I'm going to do. We're just going to have a few breaths there to feel restorative, to let the blood that accumulates in the legs and feet all day come back towards the vital organs of the body. Relax the back line of your body into here. If you do want a little extra for the hips while we're resting here, that same figure four shape that we took seated, you can try that on here. You can hook your right ankle, I don't think I'm being a mirror image anymore, but to your thigh and let the knee fall open. It's usually not quite as relaxing as just letting the legs rest in the surface of the chair. But if you want to just try that out, see what it feels like. Or if you're just really craving that extra hips, you can take a supine pigeon. But this is where we're winding down. If you do want the supine pigeon for my hip opening junkies, you'll take that cross of your ankle over your thigh and you'll reach behind your thigh and gently hug the thigh that was against the chair back toward your chest. You can press your elbow against the inner thigh to press it away, soften your jaw, soften your face. Let your belly move with your breath. For those that decided to take a little hip opener with a figure four, supine figure four, switch it out to the other side. Hug your thigh back. Relax your shoulders. Deep belly breath. Relax your jaw. And if you did take anything active, come to a resting point. Close your eyes. If it felt good to warm them up at the beginning of class, you can always take the palms over the eyes once more. Or just congratulate your body for being in a state slightly more stretched out than where you began. And because these are just gentle chair stretches, at any time, you can just take a break from your day and take some of these to open things up. Doesn't have to be the whole sequence. Stretch what you need, leave what you don't need. And then always, always give yourself at least a couple breaths in some sort of resting pose. So you can absorb what's shifted. You can see how your body's changed. Congratulate yourself for that effort. And take a deep breath in. Soften your jaw, a deep breath out. You're always welcome to stay here as long as you like. Especially if you're watching on a replay, you can just let this video go until it runs out. But if you are ready to gently come back, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Find a little stretch through your arms overhead. And then however feels good, gently roll yourself off of your little legs up the chair position. And if you want, come back up into the chair and enjoy the rest of your evening.